Into my eye, whoa, 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 whoa. Doesn't sound like it, does it? Oh, it's gonna get banned in certain areas. You can hear it. Miss you in the morning when I see the sun. Go fuck yourself. Speak out my mouth again, and you are. To you, I'm just a man. Somebody spoke again. And in the why, somebody's. Because he's not getting all of his demands. She had no control over a lot of other things. But she is human. And she needs peace. I know you don't want. Listen back. And again. And again. Ah! I don't care if you didn't like it or not. And then, T. How many tries every time they'd make me hang up in moments like that? Go back and feel the energy, please. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, somebody spoke. And in my fucking in a whoa. And a whoa. Ah! Somebody yelled out June's face. Somebody heard. Did it get to the appropriate position? Where does it stop? If you want to claim it's only screaming because somebody else. It's not about them. It's about you controlling yourself. Understand. Not about the person. If you've not been comprehension. You know, Jackie, you would have need to understand every single little thing. If you didn't fully understand, you weren't accountable. Because if you were making decisions, you were making decisions. They're trying to call what went through your mind, even though June's the one that's speaking. That's got nothing to do with you. This has only been going because of the people I worked for that fired me. Only because of them. Somebody said, oh, she didn't mention the ombudsman and the human rights. Well, no, she didn't because they didn't want to talk about that part. Somebody spoke because. How many like that? Which one would this have been? But she kept calling it. So because she wouldn't be accountable for what we did? Somebody even spoke. Well, because then they would ask. How many like that? Which one would that have been? Into my eye! Somebody's eye! And on the other side, listen back to what they, as if, wall, listen back to us even. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, first and second. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. I already in house somebody trying to take. Am I supposed to talk to you? How did you ever get that positioning to repeat words that would be coming from somebody else? Why did they in the first place? Oh, how many like that? Which one would this have been? Couple of different, it seems. You didn't see it. Good luck, fuckface. Into my eye! Somebody happened to have. Into my eye! Into my eye! Sit and listen back. And any others similar, guys? What else to think of? Listen back each and again and again. On my eye, in my eye, and fucking into my eye, 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 into my eye. Listen, in a fucking in a whoa, in a fucking in a whoa, and it means in a fucking into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. But and listen back. Do you understand how many levels I've been fucking with? Oh, she said the words. Once you've been a part of this, you already see the fucking perspective. What twist were you trying to put on it? And it only just like, how many like these that were just like, that didn't get called that way? Into my eye, 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 into my eye. Somebody's speaking about because. Talked about because. Into my eye because. in a fucking couple different. They wanted because after the end of my eye, because they are hoping that they would have opportunity to describe it in such a way that they could try to make it a truth or something like that. Somebody wanted to speak out June's mouth and then wanted to shut the fuck up because realized that we are the reason she's still going through this. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Into my eye, 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 into my eye. And somebody even caught into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, into my eye, called it a couple. Into my eye, 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 into my eye. In a fucking in a woe, and a fucking in a woe, and a because it was never about symbolism, you fucking rapist. It wasn't natural. It didn't come from that. Seems. Ah! Somebody called when. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. Somebody spoke about when. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. Somebody spoke about because had full rights. Listen back. Where else have they? And this would be the ultimate. And they would be fucking attacking me. Even worse, I'd be talking like this at work tomorrow. It's not about calling in sick. Because then they don't stop. I've already got it under a certain control so I can work my day. Into my eye! Ah! They didn't like that part. Heard. Ombudsman! Ah! 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 Because would have been another. Will it also? Ah! I want. Working toward the answer. Is that the third? Because that's the way I see it right now. Somebody spoke. Into my eye! Somebody might have. I don't know. Could be my true self. Somebody's asked. Wall! Ah! Ah! Somebody wanted to have referenced. Listen back, and again, and again. What did you think you had with that one? How many like that? Which one is this? Ah! Ah! Interesting. Into my eye. Into my eye.
In Toronto, August 7th and 9th. It will be their first shows in a decade since the death of drummer Neil.
Interesting question. What else are you learning? To leave it right there?
Two series resume in the divisional round.
Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. Didn't have to. Pal's getting a fucking in a woe. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. I am a fucking into my eye, into my eye. Why would she have answered? She's not. Into my eye, into my eye, into my eye. They have been fucking with Mark's technology for months now. Fucking with their technology. For months. It started a little earlier on, but they stopped them fucking selves. I ain't come fucking in a woe, in a woe, in a woe.